Again, this is the part 3, and in the previous 2 videos I showed you how to implement some Google Maps application with React and TypeScript. And so far we didn't do something very exciting, and I gave you a small assignment. In the previous video we managed to create markers on our map, and so this time we will do some really exciting stuff. Like, for example, we will be creating some home address marker, and then we will be calculating the distance between positions, and we will draw also polylines. So this is an advanced course, so I tell you in the beginning, and you already know it. If you got here so far, that means you're an advanced programmer and you want to know more about how to do cool stuff with Google Maps and React and TypeScript. So if you remember what we did so far, it's like the first tip from me is it's been almost a year that I did the second video, so probably the node modules should be updated. So I recommend you to run npm install, and if you have any problems, it's the best tip ever that you delete the node modules, like with this command. It's the simplest way. So like this, and then you can run npm install again. So if you remember how our application looked like, we should run npm start. So we managed to, in the first video, I had shown you how to configure your Google Maps, and we have the map in place. And now wherever you click, you are able to create a marker which is based on SVG. It's using SVG content. So we had like this in our map object, map component. We had 2 parameters like map type control. For example, if you make this false, that Norwegian control will disappear because I had set it to Norwegian language in the utilities. So that let's get started. As I said earlier, we had already some SVG marker, like when you click here, these are SVG. So this time I want to create some home address marker, and I want it to be a PNG picture. So to keep your PNG, like most frameworks, not only in React, also in Angular, people have this public folder, and under public folder you should create an assets directory, and under this directory we will create an images directory. So of course I will not be adding under assets like font family or audio, but this is a good way, this is a good practice, so you know it, and to keep things tidy, and your project will be eventually more scalable, and you will do less refactoring in the future. So I already have this image that I have here, so I will just drop it under images. So yes, so this is my PNG, and I will use it. So that's it, the first part is done. So what we should do next, okay, we have in our map component, we have some actually a little bit of add marker party here. We have this add marker function, we have this add single marker, and I will refactor this later. But what I want to do is I want to create a separate function for home marker, and I will call it add home marker. Okay, it will be very much like, actually I'll just copy this. It will be very similar to add marker, and then you should be asking yourself, why are you creating another function which is very similar to this? Because I want to create different events on these 2 different marker types, and I want to differentiate them from each other. So you will get the point very soon, so just be patient and follow. So this add home marker function will receive a location parameter, and for now it will return nothing. So we are using Google Maps marker constructor to create our marker. But as I said earlier, we don't want to get an SVG content, like with this function I was creating here, like this is the SVG content, and I had like some other parameters. But this time we will do something different. This time we will refer to our PNG here. So we use the JSON structure that Google Maps provides us. Of course, I don't know those things by heart. It's just you should read the documentation of Google Maps and then you learn it. There are so many different things to do. So I want to refer with the URL value here to the home address marker. So how to do this? Of course, we go to window.location.origin. So this address is the domain of your website, which is the same location as the public folder. Okay, so and then we want more. So what do we want? We will go to assets, we'll go to images, and we will go to home address marker.png. Okay, so that's it. Maybe we can put a comma here. So that's pretty much. And that at home marker function will help us create this PNG URL icon wherever we give the location. But when it's like one of the most important questions when you're developing in React is like, when are you going to run this function? Because we have this like render processes in React. So the valuable question is like, we want to add the home marker after the map starts. So where do we start the map? We start the map somewhere around here. So what was happening here, like we use map hook as a dependency, like here it's a Google Map type. So whenever we are loading the map, if the map is not if the map is not loading, you are just starting from a default location somewhere in Norway. So we want it, as I said, after the map starts, right? So we should call at home marker function here. So how will this work? The first time it renders, there is no map. So we start initialize the process to create the map, and somewhere along this way, so we go to default map start. Default map start with some parameters calls init map, and init map is setting map, this hook. So next time in the next run, so there will be map available, so we will come here, so we will be adding home marker. But as you see now, the WebStorm is giving me this notice, expected 1 argument but got none. So we should create a location, right? So that will be a location of the home address in my imaginary world. So we do actually, I can again copy paste. I want the location to be this address, the same address. So now I have a location object. So I can just pass it to my new function. That's it. If I did everything correctly now, it should be in place. So that looks, just please ignore these warnings right now. So let's take a look. Yes, now I have a PNG based marker pointing somewhere in the middle of, right in the center of Norway. So as you know, I mean, probably see that like latitude and longitude values. Let's put a random place somewhere on the earth, hopefully. So let's put here. I don't know where I'm locating, but let's see. So it's not in this frame, but we probably put the marker somewhere. Yeah. Is it in Egypt? I think I ended up in Egypt. No, somewhere in Sudan. And I hope it's a nice place. So that's it. So I think you got the point. So imagine that this value is coming from your database, and then you are just showing your customers home address location in that scenario. But we go back to the center of Norway. Sudan must be too hot these days. Okay, so what can we do next? So the thing that we did not do last time is that we just created some marker, but this marker had no interactivity. So I want to create some interactivity on my markers. When the user clicks on those markers, I want something to happen. So the right way to do this in Google Maps world is adding event listeners. So it's just typical JavaScript code. So, but let's rephrase this as home marker, this constant. So, and I'm going to add an event listener, as you see here, into this marker, so that, and it will be a click event, and it will of course get an arrow function as a second argument. So whenever the user clicks on this event, we will write something to the console. Home address clicked, for example. So let's go. So I'm cleaning the console. When I click here, home address clicked. Ah, that's nice. So that's the tricky part about understanding how the marker events work in Google Maps, is that when you create the marker, you should also add an event listener that you will do. For example, you will do something when it's on blur, for example. I mean, I don't know if this is the correct name for this event, or I think it's just blur event is happening. So you see it's not correct. So like context menu or something, I don't know. But right now we will just be, it's typical this W3C standards. So we have this event name as click right now. So what I want to do, I want to actually, whenever the user clicks on the home marker, I want it to be able to zoom the map and also center there, this location. So to do that, you remember our mighty map hook, that's like the source of everything. So we should use a function from Google Maps library called panTo. Okay, so this pan address, like panTo, you can click here with holding command or control button in Windows. So you can click there and you can go to the library and read it. So it says here, changes the center of the map to the given. So it says it makes it center the map based on the location. If the change is less than both width and I don't know, this part, it will be, the transition will be smoothly animated. So okay, so and then this function is also like receiving a location, like latitude longitude parameter. So I highly recommend you to use these library signatures here, and they are very useful. And I think like 90% of learning about Google Maps programming is to be curious and maybe reading some documentation also on internet. So now we know that, okay, this panTo will help the location that we give here to just center the map there. So we already have the location because we received it here, right? So I will just write it here, location. So, and then the next one is, I want to set zoom, like I want zoom level to be 10. Okay, so you know why we put this question mark here, because TypeScript does not like things which are undefined or null, so it doesn't know it. So in another way, actually we can just do it like this: if map is present. I know it will be mostly present, but just to make TypeScript happy. So if I remove this question mark, it will complain. Yes, you see, object is possibly undefined. I think it's possibly defined, but just to make TypeScript happy, you can put it in an if scope. So that's it. So back to point, we want an event on maybe a bigger font size for you. So we want a click event, and when you click there, it will center there and it will be zooming into the home. So I change the zoom point, the center point So then I click there. So then, so we zoomed level 10 and we got back there. So we go here, click it, and then we still do the same. So if I change the zoom level to, I don't know, 5, let's see what will happen. So we click there. Yeah, it's like we are more into space. So if you want to zoom more, like 15. So when I click, we got a closer picture. We can even see the church. It means church here, şirke. So okay, you got the point. And but still now we have a function at home marker and we do something with it, but we are not happy because we don't know what will happen to the home marker. We are just like using it here, assign it here as a value. It's a temporary constant value here, and the rest of our component does not know. If I want to access this value, what am I going to do? So of course I need a hook. So I want to keep my home marker as a hook, and maybe to do that my function here should not be void. Maybe it should be returning me some location and the hook value. So, but let's start here. So we create a const home marker and set home marker. Okay, I'm just creating a hook. You know these things because we are advanced in React. I know it. So I'm using Google marker type. So this Google marker type, please do not Google it because it's the type that's coming from here. These are the types that I define here because for the sake of readability, because otherwise I have to write google.maps.marker everywhere, but I think it's more readable this way. So it's not Google, it's me defining this type. Okay, now we have a hook, but where should I set this hook? So where should I set this? It's very simple. It should return a Google marker value, this function. Then the result of it will be my home marker value. So therefore I will make it return the same type here. And now it's complaining this function does not return anything. You forgot to write a return. So that's why maybe I should not use the same name with the const and the hook are having the same name. So I just call this const here like this. Nice. So then I will just return this. Perfect. So now my at home marker, it's producing something, adding some functionality into it, and then returning it. And returning type is the same. These, they all match. So what are we going to do? Now, because this home marker thing is now returning me a hook value, so I'm going to write here set home marker. And now I have a marker which is referring to the home address of the user, and it gets updated whenever the map starts, and then we edit and keep it somewhere, because to calculate the distance between different markers I need to remember what was the location of the home marker. That's why I keep it in a hook. So I think that was pretty clear, and now let's do some, maybe let's just commit it. So I want to push my changes, git add source, git add public. So as usual you can access, I will drop the link to my GitHub account and you can see these changes, and add home address marker with click event. Okay, that's good to go. So now, like I said earlier, we have now a little bit add marker party, like we have add single marker, add home marker. So to reduce this traffic here, I want to remove refactor the add single marker because we previously needed this to explicitly show how this single marker addition was being done. So I don't want this anymore. So I will just use this as a, create this as an arrow function. And what am I going to do with it? I'm just going to put this function if scope inside. So I just remove this. Okay. So now we are still doing the same thing. So by the way, the thing that we previously implemented, it's still around. You can still create, but when you click here, nothing happens. When you click here, you are able to center and zoom. Okay. So I think I've got a very close zoom level. I think 10 is enough. Yeah. Okay, now we did some refactoring as well. So I think it's okay, it's fair to have add marker for custom markers and home markers separately. That's quite okay. So to be able to, because what I want to do is these custom markers that I create, when I click on it, I want to calculate the distance between the click marker and the home marker. Okay, when I click here, it will do again the same. So I need to be able to like add event here as well, like some click event which will trigger the calculation. But before that, we need to do some other modification in our code where we have the utility. As you remember, this function load map API that I wrote under utilities, it is making that, creating this script tag, and we require few things here like the region Norway, I put it here, like language Norway, blah blah. So we only have as libraries here now places. So I should be able to compute the distance between locations. I need another library called geometry. Okay, so you should add like the comma geometry to the parameter libraries. So this will help us, this will open us some new possibilities. And so we have now more gear, and we can start implementing the calculation. But before that, we are lacking another thing. So each time I click here, I'm creating a marker, right? I remember in my hook the home marker, but my application does not recall these markers. So I'm just creating them and they are gone. So maybe we should have an array, because we will have like countless number of markers on our map. So that means it should be an array. So I create a hook array hook. So, and I will just call it like Google markers, some dumb name. So set Google markers. So it will be an array of Google markers like this. And when I initialize, I don't want this to be undefined, so I just want this to be an empty array when I start. So each time when you click the map, I want it to be updated, right? I want it to remember. And as you know, in React, the array hooks are immutable, which means they are unchangeable. So what you should do is you should create a new array based on the current array, and you should set it again. So each time when we create a marker, I want to run set Google markers to update my array. So what am I going to do here? I will just Google markers as a parameter. I will give it to an arrow function again. So Google markers and marker here, right? So you know what's happening here. So we give the same array as an input. We create a new array here as described, we keep with these 3 dots, we say that, you know, keep, like concat the existing array with this new array item, so that you have a new array that's created. So that's how it is immutable. So now it's good, because maybe we can see this in the components. I don't know why Chrome does not show it, but I think it's that one, the state 5. So each time I click, you see this array, now 2 items, 3 items there. So we can see, okay, these are my markers, like so many bullshit that I don't know what they are. Of course, yeah, they are part of the marker object, but we are not expert of this. We are just now implementing something, and we learn slowly. So, okay, we have, each time we create a custom marker, now we remember in our array, we have a place that we store them, so that it will help us to calculate the distance. So what to do, like very similar to what we did here, adding as we added the event with event listener. So we should be adding an event listener to the marker that we just created, and I want it to be also a click event, because I will calculate distance when the user clicks on the custom marker. So this is my arrow function, and what am I going to do here? I need 2 positions. Okay, first the home marker position and this custom marker position. So we have some smart function from Google Maps library to do that. Let's say home marker hook, give me the position of this with this get position, which returns latitude longitude thing. So, and I will be doing the same for marker position. So I'm just writing here the marker. Okay, so now I have 2 positions. So what I should do is just I should calculate distance, and we have a function to do that. It's inside Google Maps geometry, as you see. Now I'm using it, and spherical, because I will not be calculating the routing distance because it's very expensive and I don't have these servers in my Google Maps. It's not maybe very expensive, but it's very expensive in terms of technicality, because then you are using a lot of cloud power from to calculate the routing. So Google cannot do this free for everyone. So we are just now calculating the flight distance between two locations. So the magic word already showed up here, compute distance between. As you see, like it's receiving also latitude, longitude. So I'm going to write the first position and the second position. So, and Typescript already complaining again. It says it can be latitude, longitude, null, undefined, and they don't like it. So maybe we should do this way. So we should say home pose, I'm sure it's there, and marker pose, I'm sure it's there. So just put it there. And what does this return? Let's check the library again. It says it's returning a number. As you see here, compute distance between, returns the distance in meters. So I should get this in a const. I will call it distance in meters. Yes, and then why not showing it to the console? And let's see how this one will react. Now I'm creating some markers and click on it. Yeah, it worked. This one is between this home address and this marker is around 626 kilometers. The other one is 673 kilometers because it's in meters. So that's fun. Now finally our application started to do something useful. What about this end of Europe? How many kilometers is that? Oh my god, what is this? Yeah, it's 5,431 kilometers. That's good. I didn't know this. So, okay. So, what can we do more with this? Maybe we can show the calculated distance in kilometer like a text here, right? So, that could be more readable instead of the user checking the console, right? But maybe I can commit once more. So git status, git add source, git commit. So calculate distance when markers clicked. Okay, that's good. So now we want to do something else. We want to show this in our application, right? So this sentence, like distance is blah blah kilometers, it shouldn't be part of the map component. It should be part of the app component, let's call it this way. In the application I should do this. So therefore I will need a new hook called distance kilometer, I will call it, and then set distance kilometer, and it will be of course a number type. And when I start the application, I want it to be -1 so that it will serve as a flag, so I know that it's not set yet. So the user, it means if it's -1, user did not click anything yet. And I want a render function, so I will call it like render distance sentence. It will not get any parameter because I will be just returning a sentence here. How can I do this? Interpolating, yes. So I will write like distance between selected marker and home address is interpolation distance in kilometers, kilometer. Maybe I should put space and dot. Yeah, that's a good sentence. So I should use this in my render part. So now I'm just going to connect this application with map, but now I'm just preparing this part. So yeah, I think we need to do a boolean check here, like distance kilometer larger than -1, in case user clicks a very close place, almost the same place. So I'll just put it in, I'm accepting also like 0 kilometer distance. So I'm just going to render sentence. So I'm just going to show this sentence. Okay, so now nothing is happening. Why? Because we didn't connect this hook with the map component. So how can I do that? You see something not used standing here, set distance kilometer. So I'm going to expand my map component with that. I'm even going to use the same name as a new prop. So I'm sending this setter hook as a prop to map so that I can update it inside the map component. So as you see, because it doesn't fit to the interface, Typescript is complaining. It says you forgot to add this. So I need to copy this again, and I just go there. Go. So we had a interface called IMAP. So I just need to update this. So now I have a new prop, and I think I should call this like react.dispatch. Okay, and then it will be a react dot set state action, like already recommending, and it's a number because I'm passing a number hook. So, and I should also add this here, set blah blah distance kilometer. Okay, again we remember this, it's not used. Where should I use it? Do you guess where I should use this? I should use this here. Okay, now I have set distance kilometer like a verb, and I have distance in meters, and I can put it here by dividing 1000. So now I think it can work correctly. Let's look at the console. Yeah, the console still shows the it's meters, but here we see, I'll just make it bigger. So we see distance between select marker and home address is like 651 kilometers, and then the rest. That is not very user friendly. So you can guess what I'm going to do here. Did you guess? Yes, you did it. So I'm just going to round it. Yeah, not floor it. Now it's more readable. When I click, yes, distance between selected market and home address is 790 kilometers, approximately, of course. There's, yeah, it's not super precise, but when you are walking 790 kilometers, I think you should not complain about 54 meters more. So, yeah, now we can delete this console log, and now we are able to show the calculated distance in kilometers. So that is an edge. That's been quite good. Now I'm just going to commit this one as well. So git add again source, just going to commit, and I'm going to say show calculated distance in kilometers. Done. Now before I jump into Polyline, drawing some Polyline, I saw in some YouTube comments that some of you wanted to know about this, so I told them, why not making my application turn into like sort of a distance calculator and drawing some line, so you understand. I think you started to get more clear picture. Let's put it back. When I click somewhere like this, I create a marker. When I click on it, I want to draw a line here, like an arrow, and then I will also update the sentence. So right now we are like able to update this value there, but it is not very readable and it doesn't look nice. So I just want to style it a bit, and to do that, sorry for my throat, we need to do styling in application.tsx, right? So we just had a dummy sentence here. It's not good thing for the DOM because it's just under app, and I want it to turn into like a div section. So let's do it, and we do it like this. First open it, yes, that's very good. And I want to create a div with a class name. It will be like this, yes. No, maybe not now. So like that, putting the bracelet here, that's good. And I'll just call it like distance info class name, so that will help me to style it. And I think the rest of it is okay, so we can already see it in the DOM. And I click here, and just use this, click there. Yes, that's what I want to see. Now I got a class, and we had an app CSS, and just you can write it here, distance info, the larger font. So it should be like having some, we need some air here, right? So just give a margin of 1 rem, padding 1 rem. How does it look? Yeah, now we are a bit more distinct, and we can put a bigger font size. It's hurting my eyes, and like 50% larger than default. That's readable. So I found some nice I mean, according to my idea, it's a nice color for the background. It's 7FDBFF. Okay, it's like turquoise, and I don't like these corners. Let's put a border radius there, like 2 rem. It's kind of nice. I know every designer will complain, but that's good for now. This is not a styling course, and but the map and these info text, they are not matching together. So maybe under map.sas we should also add some padding, and we do it here, like padding in the map container, 1 rem. So now they look like they are together. That's not bad. Okay, that will help for now. Probably when I do the 4th video, where I will be doing like more interface I will be creating, so we will refactor this, but it's okay. Just for this purpose, I think it's fine. So we managed to style now our container a little bit, and now it's time to draw some lines, like polylines. And how can we do this? So as I said earlier, we have types here, and for polyline we will need another type. I will call it like Google Polyline, and it is under google.maps.polyline. So that's it, and I'm going to use it. So this is the most challenging part, because we will, when you click, I will draw a line. When you click the next one, I want to remove this line and I need to draw a new one. So that means we will remember only one line at a time. So that sounds like a new hook, right? But when you directly implement here like a const last line, for example, set last line, like the last line that the user created, use state, and it will be a Google Polyline. Okay, so there is a big problem here, because Google Maps is made, I think, for like it's an old technology in a way. So of course it's up to date, but it didn't foresee that React was coming, and this virtual DOM, and these were not even questioned when people were like programming and designing Google Maps. So in React we are keep rendering based on the hooks, right? So the problem is, when you create the marker, you also add a click event, but this click event, the content here, like the code that's running, it's not aware of the changes on the hooks. So it will always remember the hook value when you created the click event listener. So then it will not work properly. So I will just first do it like in a stupid way, and then I'm just doing this like also like to help you understand better, and then we will see how we can improve it. So the terrible thing that now I will do is I will create a global variable, and I will call it last line, and it will be Google Polyline. Like it's the same thing like I'm doing with the hook. So I will just comment this out for now, Okay, so I'm not even assigning a value on it. So I will just implement the rest of the logic. So we will create this last line, like the polyline, the arrow, each time when we click the custom marker. So it should be implemented somewhere here. So so I'm just like going to continue here, and there is some function that Google Maps provides us. Is it's just like another object, google.maps.polyline. Wow, what a shock. I think you saw this one coming. So now we will define some parameters for that, and I don't remember those things by heart, so neither should you. So it requires an array of path, and the first item in that array is the home position coordinates. So we have lat, which is latitude, and we have the home position, right? And through this home position I'm getting just like the latitude with a function, and the second one is the longitude, and I'll do the same with lng. So, and the second one will be the marker position I'll be using here, like this. So now my path has 2 points, the home address marker and the custom marker that I'm clicking. So this will try to draw a polyline between these 2 points. But I think if we also write also the map, so that this function knows that it is connected to this map. Maybe you will want to have like several Google Maps, that's why. So I don't know, I didn't try this before, but probably this will draw us something. Yeah, it did. But right now we are keep drawing. So when I did this way, it looks like a Word documentary. Like this part is attacking these locations. Let's make it like this. Now Norway attacking Genghis Khan. Now we are just keep drawing. Okay. But the value that's like the object returned from here, we should remember this. So we should keep this to the last line, right? So that's why I'm going to give it to last line, that global variable that I created. Eventually we will try it with a hook, but now just go this way. And I want to make it like an arrow. So there is this icons attribute according to the documentation that you are able to identify the path, it says, and then go google.maps. So I'm just trying to reach for the predefined arrow, and I just call it like, I don't know the difference between them, but just pick one of them. So this is our path. Maybe I did it wrong. I think this one is also accepting an array. So this should be an array like this, and it has another icon. Yeah, this is like, it looks complex because Google Maps have so many different functionalities, and therefore you need good hierarchy of arrays and JSON objects. So this is the correct way of doing, like you can read here, a forward pointing closed arrow. So circle, whatever. So now it's clicked. Now we have an arrow. Okay, the points are not very good. You can edit these, but now I'm not doing that, these details, but you understand, I think. So we can have another one here, and then one to the south. Yeah, one to Finland. So we are now just creating them, and I keep it like last line because I call it last line because I will remove it, the last line, soon. So how to do this? If last line is there, if there is such thing, so I will just call it again, and I will call set map null or null in English. But why is this complaining? It says it was used before its declaration. Yes, because I shouldn't make this const, because I'm referring to global variable here. So this if scope, usually like when you want to delete something in Google Maps, you use the set map null. I mean, that's the thing that you had to do your homework. I ask you, when you click on the marker, like remove it. So you were supposed to do it this way, like marker.setMap. It will delete the marker. Maybe we try it just like this. When I click it, no, yeah, next time it happened. So, but okay. So that will help us to delete the last marker, because right now last line is nothing. When I click on it, it gets updated. And when I create a new link, new marker here, and when I click this one, I want first this one to be deleted, then I draw a new one. So it works. Is it good? No, but it works. So let's commit this. GST. Oh, we also need to commit this style stuff. I'm just going to keep them the same. Git add source, git commits, style, containers, and draw polyline with the global variable. Okay. So now let's go to the tricky part where we will convert this last line. We will use it as a hook. And this one is a bit challenging. So the problem that I briefly explained previously is when you have a hook, let's remove this one and let's get braver. Let's get brave. So I have it as a hook, right? And now I can no longer, because it's immutable, I cannot change it this way. So what am I supposed to do? I need to set it. So I will just throw this like to a line. I will call it like const line. Then, because I don't want to get whole, like so many lines, more than 10 lines into a set map thing, set last line. So I just call it like here, set last line, line. That's acceptable. But you think that should work, but it will not work. So now we will see, understand why. We create, click here, it's drawing, that's good. But how about deleting this one and creating new one? It didn't. Oh, now it did. I don't know why. So probably it just managed to get an update, and this render randomly it happened. So now it also it happened. Now it's happening, but it's not reliable thing right now. So the reason is, let's console log last line, log last line. So I'm going to show the value of last line each time I'm clicking a marker. So we have this one and that one. So I'm deleting the console and click this one. You see last line undefined. That's normal because this is the first time that we define it. It's undefined here, but then we set it here. But this inside here, it still doesn't know that last line has been updated because this function was created when you edit the event. So that's why it doesn't know it. So you see it says undefined. This is the big problem. This is the most challenging problem in Google Maps. So I'm doing this now. It remembers somehow. I don't know the exact reason for that, but it's somehow like catching it after some point. But we didn't manage to delete this one. So you see now it's undefined. It's just random. So what should I do? The thing that should be done to fix this problem is to add a new event listener and to remove this event listener, so that you have to keep updating your event listener function, because then it will take the base as that it will be updating the hook value here, last line, so it will know, because now it doesn't remember like what happened to the hook. This part, this vanilla JavaScript doesn't know it. So how can we do this? That means whenever the last line is being updated, we need to remove this event listener and edit again. By the way, I mean, the solution that I'm doing here, it's not perfect. I will try to improve it, but it's much better than using a global variable like here, like we did. But I promise I'm also like learning myself. So if you have comments after I show this new tactic, please drop it. I will be very happy that if you can contribute. So yeah, whenever the last line is updated here, we need to remove this event listener and add new one. So that means I need a use effect which will have a dependency of last line. So here I'm going to do the trick. So like this, whenever this happens, I should be running this and like remove event listeners, actually all event listeners maybe for now, and then add event listeners again. Okay, these are like two things that we should do basically, but I don't know my listener ID because I don't keep it. So they just go to space. We just create it and we don't even mark it somewhere. So how do we remember it? Of course, we need a array hook again. So what we should do is we will create an array hook here, like I will call it like listener ID array. Set listener ID array. Now we create like use state, and it will be an empty array in the beginning. So yeah, maybe I keep it close to the other array hooks. So now I have it, but it doesn't like it. Why? Type void is not an array type. Oof. How come I wrote use effect? Use state. Now it's okay. By the way, I don't know what type I should use here, so I'm just going to write any type, because I checked it actually and I couldn't solve this one as well. I looked at the library here. What does it return? It says it's returning maps event listener type, but I couldn't find it. It's just giving me this interface, so I don't know. That's why I just keep it as any type. Just now we should add this somewhere, right? So we should get this listener ID at least. So I'm just going to get const listener ID. Okay, so after I do the click function, so I should keep this in my listener ID array. So it's the same thing like we did in the set Google markers. So it's the same drill. So set listener ID array, and it's immutable again. So I just give this previous array as a argument, and then dot 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 the same array plus listener ID, that the value that I just got here with this const. So now I'm updating my listener ID array. Maybe I shouldn't do it this way. Maybe I should keep only one listener ID, the one that I click. But it's after 2 a.m. and I just don't want to think about this right now. So we just go simpler. I promise I will make something nicer. We just want to make it better now. So now I'm remembering like what listener ID I have. So now I can remove all event listeners whenever this last line is updated here, so that I can remove this function inside click event, and I can inject the updated one which knows what last line value is. So that's the whole challenge that we are doing here. So how to do this? I have access to listener ID array, and I'm going to get a for each loop here. I get the listener ID, an arrow function, and now there's another magic verb from Google Maps dot event dot remove listener. So this will help us to remove every listener one by one. So now we are clean. This one will remove. So by the way, I want to keep my listener ID array also empty because I don't need them anymore. And I will also set Google markers. You remember that array hook we created? I want to also like empty it, because now I will add every marker again. I'm not removing them, I know, but because this circle is not complete, I can just go through Google markers dot for each, and for every Google marker that I remember, I'm going to create marker position I get here. So through this Google, for every marker that I have, I will get the position like this. And then if marker position is valid to make Typescript happy, we will add a marker like this, so that I will add marker position here. Maybe you are a bit lost, but I will explain. So we have a clean start after this point, but although I'm setting the array Google markers, it's still there. I promise we can see it together like this, because it did not render yet, so I can still have it like this, and maybe like that. So I'm not sure if it will work, but Google markers is empty. When I click there, it's there. It says 3 items like these ones. Although I set it here, don't get fooled. I still have them because the render process did not complete yet. So therefore I'm using this as a, for each loop, and then for every Google marker, for each one of these, I'm creating a new marker. Eventually this add marker will also add a new click event listener and event also eventually. So then this event will know last line because I keep last line as a dependency here. I think I'm doing several things wrong here, I know, and I think you also see it. But it's much better than using global array, and also our console terminal here, it's complaining like you are missing this dependency, this one. But this is better than having a global variable. And I think what I should do, I should be I should not be removing the markers, but I should be just adding the listeners again somehow. But I'll think about this. So, but for now, let's test. How does this behave? So now it works perfect. See, last line is never undefined again. So last line is always meaningful. I'm just going to remove this. So we only see the last line. And now undefined, and now it's doing more complex texts like this. So we have a good thing to show. Now we have a good demo. So we have a home address marker, and we are still able to add custom markers, and it's doing something fun that now you can calculate the center point of Norway and somewhere in Iceland is 1,543 kilometers. I didn't know this. What about my home location? Home, real home? No, Norway is my real home, but I'm from Izmir in Turkey. If I click here, so when I take the direct flight, it's something less than 3,000 kilometers because I live in Oslo. So if I click Oslo, it's 586 kilometers. That's good to know. But the winner is, of course, Antarctica for me. Keep a marker here. Wow, 16,000 kilometers. That's good. Maybe here, 20,000. No, 17,000 because Earth gets smaller in the polar region. Yeah, whatever, we had enough fun. I hope you enjoyed this video, and it's been a pleasure for me. And we can click on the home marker, so we are focusing there. So that's good. Well, let's test actually very close location, then what will happen? Let's check the distance to the church. No, I don't want to know about church, just click there. Yes, the church is 0 kilometers. So it's very close, closer than you think. So thanks a lot for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed your time. And in the next video, we will do something else with, again, distance calculation. And it's been fun. I hope you enjoyed. So take care and bye.